the secret. Are you ready for the secret? No, you're not ready. Are you ready for the secret? All right. Lean forward. Hands on your ears. Let's see them. Okay, here we go. Ready? There's no such thing as a really rich victim. Yet being a victim definitely has its rewards, doesn't it? What's the big reward people get out of being a victim? That's right, they get attention. Is attention important to most people? It's the most important thing to most people. Why? Because when we were infants, we made a mistake, and a big one. Almost all of us. And what we did is we equated attention with love for the purposes of survival. But they're not the same at all. Does that make any sense? And because of that mistake, most of us really don't even know about true love. We know about what's called ego love, meaning we love another person for what they do for us versus who they are, having nothing to do with us. And worse than that, we love ourselves for what we do for us. In other words, when we're good, we love ourselves. And when we're bad, we don't love ourselves. True or true? Okay? And that's the biggest problem we have with most people today. And let me say this again, that at the 3-day Million Dollar Mind Intensive, and I know a lot of you have been there, one of the blessings we have is this ability to be able to disconnect those two so that you truly love another person for who they are, which means you can truly love yourself for who you are and accept yourself the way you are right this moment. Good or good? Good. And that's another blessing that we have. And so, as I said, there's no such thing as a really rich victim. So in order to stay a victim and get their attention, these people make darn sure they never get what? Rich. So here's a choice. You have a choice. You can be a victim or you can be rich, but you can't be both. You have to choose. And let me say this right now, and I hate to be so graphic about it, but we came here to learn, yes? Yes. All right. So everybody go like this with your finger. Put it over here. Watch. Every time you blame or justify or complain, you are slitting your financial throat and your happiness throat as well. And people, well, if they want to be around you, there's something wrong with them too. So it's time to acknowledge the fact that you create everything that's in your life, you create everything that's not in your life, and everything in between. You create your wealth, you create your non-wealth, you created your exact financial situation that you're in right now. Now that's a good thing to know, isn't it? Because if you create it, you can discreate it. And you can create something else. Yes? All right, please stand up for the declaration. Put your hand on your heart. I create the exact level of my financial success.
I create the exact level of my financial success.
Again.
I create the exact level of my financial success.
One more time, twice as loud.
I create the exact level of my financial success.
Turn to somebody, look them in the eye, give them a high five, and say, you have a millionaire mind. And have a seat. Good job. All right, here's another one. This is very important. Now, what do we do when something's very important that's coming up? We do a drum roll. Ready? Let's hear it. Let me hear it. Good job. Rich people play the money game to what?
Win.
And most poor and old class people play what? Not to lose. Not to lose. Oh my goodness. Most people actually play the money game on defense versus offense. Let me ask you your opinion here. Again, in sports or any game you play strictly on defense, tell me, what are your chances of actually winning that game? How many people say pretty slim and none? And what are your chances of winning the game big? Impossible. True? And that's the way most people play the money game on defense versus offense. Their primary concern for a lot of people is survival and security. So what is your goal? What's your objective? What's your true intention? For a lot of people, their primary intention is to have enough to pay the bills. I just want enough to pay the bills. On time would be a miracle. Or I just want to get by. Or I just want to earn a decent living. And due to the power of intention, that's exactly what you're going to get, and not a dime more. Some people know this quite well, yes? Or you have middle-class people, and middle-class people, what's their big intention? They just want to be what? Comfortable. It's so important to them, we're going to write it 2 times. So, there's comfortable, and then there's this word. What's this word? And we all know comfortable leads to rich, yes? Yes? Yeah, and that's not my experience. Let me say this right now, just for the record, in my experience. Comfortable and rich are planets apart. Planets apart. What you need to do and who you have to be comfortable is a whole different world than who you have to be and what you have to do to get rich. Is that clear at all? Is that really clear? I hope you get it. Because I would say that's one of the number one issues with most people sitting in the room right now. Your goal is to be comfortable. Let me say this right now. If your goal is to be comfortable, you will never get rich. Never. On the other hand, if your goal is to get rich, you're going to end up mighty comfortable. So here's the thought. If you shoot for the stars, you're at least going to hit the moon. Most people don't even shoot for the ceiling in their house, and they wonder what the problem is. All right, here's what I want you to do. Another action. Are you willing to take the actions? All right, practice. Practice makes permanent. So, tonight when you get home, tomorrow morning, I want you, either yourself or with your team, to create a strategy. Create a what? Strategy. To help 10 times the number of people you're helping right now. Whatever business you're in, whatever job situation you're in, I want you to help 10 times as many people. Who can tell me why? Exactly, because that's how you get paid. One of the things we do in our programs is we have certain definitions. And the definition we use of a business person or even in a job is, listen closely, a person who solves problems for people at a profit or for pay. Say that with me. A person who solves problems for people for profit or for pay. Good or good? So what's your job? This is what? Solve problems. And you get paid accordingly. Meaning that if you go out there to make money, what do? But if you go out there to solve problems, and if you go out there to solve 10 times the problems you're solving now, there's a good chance you're going to get how much more money? 10 times. Does that make sense? Because that's what delivering value is all about. It's about solving. Let me put it this way. If you're not solving a problem, I guarantee you're not getting paid. People say, well, Harv, how do I make more money? Wrong question. The better question is, how do I help more people? How do I help 10 times the people? And that's going to take a little strategy. And for a lot of you, it's going to take a little more leverage, a little more systemizing, a little more being based on results versus time. Does that make any sense? Yes or yes? All right, good job. So, please stand up for the declaration. Good exercise, yes. Hands on your heart. My goal is to become a multi-millionaire and more. Let me hear you. Again. Again. And nothing less will do. Let's make a high five and say, you have a millionaire mind. Question. In the last one, why did I ask you to add on and nothing less will do? Listen closely. This could be the most important words you hear all night. Are you ready? What you settle for is what you get. Let me say it again. What you settle for is what you get. If you look at your life right now, the results of your life is exactly what you've settled for. You understand what I'm saying? People walk into a job situation or a business. They walk into a job and they're in a job interview and the interviewer says, "Well, what's your salary expectations?" And they go, $250,000 a year. And the guy goes, "What? This job pays $30,000. Really? So find me another job. It pays me $250,000. See, if you are only willing to do what it takes to earn $250,000 a year, that's all you'll accept. And you will keep on hunting and searching and creating the strategy until you get there. But if you are willing to take $30,000 and be comfortable and get by, that's it. You're done. Does that make any sense at all? What you settle for is what you get. Say, what I settle for is what I get. Tell somebody else, please. Good job. All right, let's go to the next one here. This one here is a simple one and really short. Listen closely. Rich people always think the word what? Both. And most everybody else thinks what? Either or. Either or. As in, either I can be rich or I can be spiritual. Either I can be rich or I can be good and kind. Either I can be rich or I can be generous. Either I can be rich or I can have my health. Either I can be rich or I can have time for my family. Either I can have money or I can have love. Either or, either or. All that is called scarcity thinking. What kind of thinking? Scarcity thinking. And the answer to all of those is what? Both. Both. Listen. Listen. You're smart enough. You're intelligent enough. And you are creative enough to create a strategy that works for you in your life. And if it's not working on day one, you readjust it until it's working on day two. The answer is what? Both. What is it? Both. Both. Absolutely. You can be kind and generous and loving and spiritual and compassionate and really, really rich. Good or good? Let me ask you a question. How many of you ever heard the saying, you can't have your cake and eat it too? This is for my money. That is the absolute stupidest saying I've ever heard in my whole life. The all-time dumbest, the hall of shame, all right? You know, in my book, Secrets to the Millionaire Mind, I talk about this a little bit. And we give a lot of what's called wealth principles in the book. I want to read you this one. Rich people believe you can have your cake and eat it too. Middle-class people believe cake is too rich, so I'll only have a little piece. Poor people don't believe they deserve cake, so they order a donut, focus on the whole, and wonder why they have nothing. Stand up for the declaration, please. It goes like this. I can be kind, generous, and loving, and still be really, really rich. Again, I can be kind, generous, and loving, and still be really, really rich. One more time. I can be kind, generous, and loving, and still be really, really rich. Just my high five and say, you have a millionaire mind. All right, good job, guys. Excellent work. This one here is such an insidious one. It's like something in the back of most people's mind, but they never will say it out loud. And it's one of the biggest blockers of all the blockages of wealth. Are you ready?